All right. Good morning, everyone. My voice is just about back. Welcome to day 73 of our online AWD1000 Web Development Technologies class. Today, as it says, we're going to complete the React student app, hopefully, and we're going to go over the edit component. I'm also going to go back over the font awesome stuff that we talked about a little bit yesterday, and we'll attempt to deploy an app to the internet, a React app, using both GitHub pages and Netlify. And I'm going to follow the steps in these two documents. All right, when we get done with that, I'll give a brief demo of the AWD1100 C# programming class that I'll begin teaching during the spring 2024 semester. To my knowledge, unless this has changed, the first day we're going to have class is going to be January 10th, which means that the spring semester will start officially 4 weeks from tomorrow. If that date changes, I'll let you know. But to my knowledge, for full-time online classes, it's the 10th. If it changes to the 8th, I'll let you know. All right, as this very well could be the last lecture we have for this semester, the rest of this week and all of next week will be labs. So if you could finish this code along assignment that we're doing right now, if you have any work to do that you're behind on, be it hands-on tests, written tests, labs, or homework, you can complete that and also complete your electronic portfolio. I've said right here, I will be online. Really, that should have said Tuesday, today too, for the rest of this week and Monday through Wednesday of next week. Next Thursday is the last day of the semester. I'm not going to be online per se during that because I'm going to be filling out final grades and filling out my student outcome assessment forms. All right. And finally, as it says here, your completed React student project will be due by midnight Sunday. That means finished and deployed to the internet. Any late work is also due by midnight Sunday. And again, you will have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday dedicated this week as lab days. Your completed e-portfolios will be due a week from tomorrow by midnight. All right. And again, I will be unavailable this Friday. So let's get started. And the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring up what we've been working on, which is our React student app. That is not it. That is it. So I'm going to bring that up with Visual Studio Code. All right, this is where we left off yesterday. I got some of the stuff for the last lecture done. Some of it was not done. So let me do this. Let me do a save here. And let me stop the run. And let's see where we are. So right now we are right here. This is our app. We did add this yesterday. All right, where we added a little bit of CSS. We might add some more up here today. I don't know. But what I want to do is I want to show you how to bring in Font Awesome. We want to put a little plus sign here with a circle. We want a search icon here, like a little magnifying glass, and some kind of a warning icon here for the delete student. After we get done with that, again, we'll look quickly at what we put in here for CSS yesterday, maybe add a little bit more, then go into the update component here. Hopefully we can get that done in a reasonable amount of time. Then after that, we'll attempt to deploy a React app out to the internet using both GitHub pages and also using Netlify. All right. When you do your final project, you can do it with either one. I recommend Netlify because it's easier, but do the one you want. So yesterday, one of the things that we looked at in here was React for Font Awesome. Let me say that again, because I said it backwards. And that is Font Awesome for React. All right. We started with the get started portion here. And what I did was I literally put all three of these lines one at a time into my terminal. So in other words, I got into the terminal and down here, I typed in each one of these lines. Really, I copied them, but the NPMI, okay, Font Awesome. And I don't know why this says Fort Awesome, but it does. Okay. And so I put those lines in. Okay. Then afterwards, we're skipping these additional styles. We're not doing anything extra with those. But when you use the icons, which is what we're going to do, there's two ways you can do it. You can do it individual use, which means you bring them into each file that you need them in, or you can do global use. They both have their advantages and their disadvantages. The advantage of individual use is you only put it where you want it. All right. The disadvantage is if you want it in a lot of places, it can become a little tedious to put it in there. With global use, the benefit is you put it in once. It's kind of like a set it and forget it. All right. The drawback is, as it says, you may be including files that won't be used, and it could impact performance. So following Mr. Gudmiston's lead, I use the icons via individual use. Now to use those, we need basically these two lines in whatever file we're going to put Font Awesome icons in. That said, a couple things about this. You'll notice that there's 5 lines. The bottom 3, or the bottom 2, I should say, are just kind of sort of shortcuts, but we're not going to use those. All right. We're actually going to use this, but we're going to put this in directly into our code rather than setting it equal to a variable. Now, you don't need this, the React DOM, but these 2 lines you will need, and we're going to put them in 2 or 3 of our different files. Okay. The first one that's in there basically brings in Font Awesome. The second one brings in an individual Font Awesome icon. In this case, in the one they're showing here, it brings in a Font Awesome coffee cup. Well, we don't want that, but we are going to bring these in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these files, or these 2 lines of code, copy them to the clipboard. All right. Okay. Then the first thing I'm going to do, and this is where I had trouble yesterday. Hopefully I've gotten it fixed, but we'll see. I'm going to go into our add student. All right. Add student.js. And at the top of that file, I'm going to add these 2 lines. Okay. The same 2 lines that I just showed you right there. But again, I don't want to import into this. I'm not going to want to import coffee. Okay. What I'm going to want is every single time that I come in here and I save, okay, I'm going to want that particular button to have a plus sign on it that's inside of a circle. How do you do that? Well, notice if I type in here FAP, it starts to show me the stuff I have. And there is a plus circle right there. So that's what I'm bringing in right here. Now, as you can see, currently, both of these are grayed out because I'm not using them, but I'm going to use them in just a minute. All right. Now in here, I want to find where we have our add student button. That's why I'm using it in here. So if I go down here, there's our button, and our button right here, there's our add student. So this is the one I want to add to. All right. So after the words add student here, right after that, I'm going to put in here Font Awesome icon. and then I have to specify the icon. So icon equals, and it's FA plus circle. All right. And then I just have to come in and end this like that. Now we're going to see right away whether or not it worked. So let me save this and let's go back and run it again. It looks like it's not giving me any errors, and that's a good start. And when you look, there's our icon, our font awesome icon right there. Okay. It's not anything, gee whiz type of thing, but I just wanted to show you how you go in and add this. All right. Now let's go in and let's see what else we can do here. All right. So the next one down here is search. So let's see if we can add one to our search button. All right. And the search button is in app.css. But the first thing I'm going to do is go back up to the top, and I'm going to grab these two lines again and copy them to the clipboard. All right. Then I'm going to go to app.js, and I'm going to bring those two lines in. Now, I'm not going to use FA plus circle now. This is going to be for the search. So if I come in here and I type in FASEA, you'll notice there's an FA search. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing that we had just done previously. All right. And that is, in fact, let's go over here. And the one I just added here. All right. So what I just added right there, I'm going to copy that to the clipboard now. And I'm going to go back to app.js. And I want to find my search button for students. There it is, search students. So I'm going to come in and paste this in. And again, we don't want FA plus circle there. We want FA search. So let's see if that one worked. And you'll notice we've got our little search icon. So we have now added both a plus sign icon and a search icon. All right. And I made this, I believe, a large button. If I'd made it smaller, it would look more like this. All right. Maybe I'll go back and change that because it's really bigger than it has to be. I like the way this looks better. All right. The other thing that we did yesterday, and I'm going to go back and show it to you. Really, it was a couple things, and that is the first thing we did. And it's funny, I went back and watched one of Mr. Gudmested's videos yesterday, and throughout his videos, he doesn't apologize, but he says, I'm going to have to go back and do more videos on this because the app.js is way too big. And we should have gone in and made individual components for a lot of this stuff. Well, he hasn't done it yet if he's going to do it. All right, but he is correct. And one of the things we did yesterday was we added this components folder right here. And we put our add students into the components folder and our student.js into our components folder. And then we added a CSS for each one of them. All right. And it was just playing with colors and some padding, etc. All right. So again, it was to try to pretty it up or whatever it is you want to say on there. All right. Okay. So far, and we set up pretty much what we wanted to set up in here. All right. Now let's see. I'm going to go back to student for just a second here, and I'm going to close this. All right. We've got that button right now for deleting a student right here. okay? And it's in our student.js. And in our student.js, I'm going to come and add those same two lines that we looked at just a bit ago. All right. In other words, I'm going to grab these. And actually, this is what I was going to do. Okay. I was going to come in here, grab these, copy them, come into student.js, paste them in up here. All right. And then put this right here by the delete student. We can try that. Let's see if it works the way that I want it to work. We'll see. It's not that, sorry. So let's go back, grab these two lines again, copy them to the clipboard. Let me close a couple of these things here because I got a lot of stuff that really doesn't have to be open here. There we go. All right. And here we're going to put something in for the delete. So we're going to use, oops, FA warning. Again, they're grayed out right now because we are not using them yet. So let me grab this. Come down, find that button. There it is, delete student. And we're going to change this from search to warning. And I think that I did it up on top already. Yes, I did. So I'm going to do a file save all and again, look at what I've got here. All right. And now you notice I've got the little icon for each student for delete. All right. I've got the icon for add student, and I've got the icon for search students. I want to do one more thing kind of quickly here, and that is I want to go back to where I've got the add students here. All right, jet from button large to just button and see if that looks nicer or doesn't. You can always change it back if I want to. All right, so there it is now. So they're at least they all look the same size. I think that looks a little nicer. All right. So the other thing I did yesterday was I came in here and we added a little bit of CSS. You can see we separated everything out here. We've got kind of rounded corners. We put a box shadow in there, etc. And I can do the same if we want to up here as well. All right. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So far, again, we've come in today and we have added an icon for adding a student. That was the plus sign. For searching for the student, that was the magnifying glass. And for deleting a student. All right. So far as I can tell, at least, so far, so good. All right. Now, if I want to, I could put the same kind of thing here around all of this. I chose not to, all right, but you can if you want to. And basically all you'd have to do that would be to go in and create some CSS for it, just like we just did. But I'm going to leave that the way it is. All right. So we've come in and again, we've done work on everything that I wanted to do so far. All right. So the next thing that we want to come in here and do is we want to come in and we want to add the edit capability. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is remember this is in our student.js. So I'm going to come back to that student.js. All right. And down here, we've got that warning. We've got the button. You see it right here. I'm going to copy this entire button to the clipboard and put it right below. Now I've got two buttons that look the same, which is silly, but we're going to fix it right away. This is going to say edit student. All right. And this will say props dot edit student. All right. Now, I don't want it to be danger anymore because I'd have two buttons that would look the same. Let's make this warning. All right, so it'll be a yellowish. And for the font awesome icon, I'm going to use the same one that Mr. Gudmiston used. I don't know why he used this one, but he did. And it was FA, I think it was like Magic Wand Sparkles. Again, don't ask me why he used that one, but he did. All right. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change this then to exactly what he had. Whoop, not that. Right? The Magic Wand Sparkles. We don't need that, of course. I don't know why I copied all that stuff, but I did. All right, let's see if we've got our new button in here now. There it is. And again, you could come in if you wanted to and do virtually anything in here you wanted to do. Now, as of right now, there is nothing in here. I want to say this again. As of right now, there is nothing in here for editing a student. So when you click on it, we get that because I call that edit student that we haven't written yet. So we'll have to write that in just a bit. But what I wanted to show you was right now, it is totally non-operational. All right. So what are we going to do? Well, let's first of all, think about what we want to do. All right. And that is, again, when we come in here to do this, we want to be able to edit a student. I mean, that should make sense. So let's assume I don't even know if this Joella is male or female, and I don't care. But let's assume that Joella was really Joe, and we wanted to change Joella's first name to Joe. We should be able to do that. If we spell the last name wrong, we should be able to do that. If we either put in an incorrect email or it changed, we should be able to do that. If their grad year changes, we should be able to do that. Well, the problem with this, the problem with this as it currently exists, all right, so the problem with it right now is these are all basically the equivalent of labels. All right. And you can't change a label when the program's running. So what we want to have happen is when we click this edit student button, I'm not going to click it again because it'll give me that error. But when we click that, we'll want each one of these things here to change so it is the equivalent of an input box. So we can go in and manually make changes in there. That's what we want to do. All right. So when you think about it, there's really kind of two modes that our program can be in. It can be in program mode, regular program mode, like you see right here, or if we click this, we can put it into edit mode. Now, when we click this for Joella, only Joella should be put into edit mode. I don't want to be putting everybody into edit mode. So in other words, there's an individual button for each one of the students so that we're able to edit each one individually. And if that doesn't make sense, hopefully just keep following along and then hopefully after a while it will. All right. So in our student.js, the first thing I want to do is I want to come back up to the top here. Okay. And again, in the student.js, we just added the button. Well, one thing we don't have in here when you look is we don't have any, all right, we don't have any actual code, so to speak. Everything we have in there is all our display code. So there's no logic code. But what I'm going to put into here is I'm going to add one of those React hooks. So I'm going to put in here a const, And I'm going to call it edit mode and set edit mode. And by default, I want that to be false. In other words, I only want to go into edit mode. All right. In other words, I only want to go into edit mode if I click the button edit student. All right. And once I do that, yes, then I want to go into edit mode. All right. Okay. Let's see. Right now, we do have, if we go down in here, we do have the button that we just added. All right. So we've got the one button that was here previously that we put in for deleting a student. And we just added another button. And that other button, again, we put in here was going to be for editing a student. All right. So in other words, we want to do something. All right. Well, what do we want to do? Well, I've got here edit student, but that's not that's not what I want to do. What I want to do is when I click that button, I want to set my edit mode from false to true. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to set edit mode to true. All right. And let's see, I shouldn't need this props student here like that. All right. And then we've got our edit. And, if you don't like, you know, some traditional things don't have like delete student or edit student. If you just want the word delete there, you could put that in as well, or just the word edit there. Again, I'm not sure if that looks better or worse. Let's take a quick look here. So now delete and edit. And we could change that to add, and we could change that to just search. So you can change all those if you want to, or, leave them in there. I don't know which looks better. And it's really, in the end, at least, it's not really that important anyway. All right. So let's see. Well, I already mentioned to you that what we want to do is we want to either be as we are right now, which for lack of better words is kind of in program mode, or when we click one of these, we want to go into edit mode. All right. So, again, why am I telling you this? Why should you care, etc.? Well, let's go back and let's look at our code as it currently exists. All right. So when we go in here, this is where we're listing everything. We've got the div, card, etc. And we've got, you know, all of this stuff that's in here in this unordered list. We've got our image and we've got everything else. All right. So we got class name equals this, etc. We got everything we need is pretty much in here right now. All right. But what I'm going to do, at least attempt to do right now, is to change this. And what I mean is this right here is the way it should look if I'm in my regular program mode. But I'm going to want it to look different if I am in edit mode. All right. Now, what's kind of nice about this, again, what is kind of nice about this is I want to come in here and I'm going to do it right here. I want the picture to show. I'm not going to let the user edit the picture. I want to say that again. I'm not going to let the user come in and edit the picture here. All right. So if you accidentally put in the wrong picture for somebody, you could delete them and add them again. All right. If you wanted to do that. All right. But that's not what this is about. So in here where I've got this, okay, which is for like I said, it's kind of like normal mode, non-edit mode. I'm going to put in here, edit, oops, edit mode and like that. All right. Now, why did I do that? I mean, what is that for lack of better words? All right. What this is saying right here, and I'm going to have to figure out why it's giving me that error, but we'll look at it in a minute. All right. Remember, we removed earlier from here, we removed that student ID. So I'll get rid of that. Whoops. All right. Let me bring it back now. So I don't think I need any of this. So what we're saying here is if we're in edit mode, we want you to do all of this stuff. All right. But what we're going to add in just a moment is if we are not in edit mode, what we want is instead of having this thing look like this, all right, when we're in edit mode, we want this to change so that it is an input box or text box, whatever you want to call it. Same with this, same with this, and same with this. So that's what we're designed to do right now. All right. And I'm looking at this and trying to remember. I know I've got to end this. All right. But I don't remember where to put the ending for this. I don't know if that goes down here. No, it doesn't like that. All right. I'll have to look at that during the break. All right. And actually, it would be down here someplace probably. But what we want to do, all right, is once we figure out our, once we get down to here, our unordered list, okay, now we're going to make some changes. I wonder if that goes here. Still doesn't like it. Okie dokie. All right. But now we're going to come down here and what we're going to say is if we're not, all right. So in other words, if we're in edit mode or we're not in edit mode. I want to say that again. We're saying if we're in edit mode or right in here. All right. And I do want people to understand, even though there's an error there, we'll get the error fixed. This means that we're in our regular display mode, and this will mean that we are in edit mode. And since we are going to be in edit mode, we are going to want to be able to come in here and change 1, 2, 3, 4, any of those 4 things. So we may not want to change anything. We may want to change just the first name, just the last name, just the email, just the grad year, or any combination thereof. The reason I bring that up is since we want to be able to come in and change that, that will again come up here and necessitate us adding hooks. All right, my internet was flaking out there for a minute. Hopefully it's back and everybody's here. So we've got first name, we've got last name, we need email, and we need grad year. Now, again, going back to um, what Mr. Gudmist had talked about, all right, as far as wanting to break this up into more components, okay, there is something that you use in information technology, computer science, whatever you want to call it, that is called, you don't want to invalidate the DRY principle. DRY is an acronym, which means do not repeat yourself. And the reason I'm telling you that is we already did a set first name, a set last name, etc., in one of our other methods. So we really should be striving here to make components. All right. And I believe, I don't know, I didn't talk to him about it, but I believe the reason that Mr. Gudmist did it the way that he did it, and again, I could be wrong. All right. But I believe the reason that he did it the way that he did it was because, I mean, this is a hell of a lot to throw at you with 2 weeks left in the semester as it is. All right. I've got my own feelings on that I'm not going to share. All right. But again, I'm doing it. I've talked to Mr. Hegelman. We've been in communication with one another. He's about a day or so behind where we are, but he's doing the same thing. He's going through the same project. All right. Now, what we want to do to test this, all right, right now wouldn't do much of anything, but we've got to fix that goofy error. So I'll have to look at that. But in here, all right, the first thing I want to do is come in here and just test for, if nothing else, test the first one. So that's kind of hard for you to read. So let me put this on multiple lines and then let's go over it. All right. So what this is saying is when you're in edit mode, what we want is we want the first name to change so that it is a text box or an input box, whatever you want to call it. All right. And anytime we add something into that, we want to call set first name because we want to change the value that was in there to the value we've changed it to. And I gave you the example of like Joella. All right. And changing that, okay, to Joe as an example. All right. Now, one thing we're going to want to do is up at the top here, all right, where we're bringing in use state, we'll also bring in use effect here. And hopefully you remember that from yesterday. All right, we use that use effect, all right, because what we wanted to do was to make sure that the stuff, when the program started to run, looked the way we wanted it to look, for lack of better words. All right. Now, we wrote a use effect, and I think it's in here. I don't really remember, to be honest with you, but it's in one of these, and we'll find it. This was the one we did yesterday. And this, basically what this did was it made sure that when the program started running, our data was loaded, as opposed to what we did previously. And what we had done previously, all right, what we had done previously was we had that button in there that was called Add Students. All right, well, now in our student, we want also in here, we want to have a use effect, but it'll be written a little bit differently. Mm. Now, what this is going to help make sure happens is when we go into edit mode, we want to make sure that we have the current values in here. In other words, we want to make sure when we run this, darn it, I thought that would happen, but yeah, we're getting that because of those two goofy errors that we have in here. All right, we'll fix them in a minute. We want to make sure that when we go into edit mode, that we are showing the current values for first name, last name, email, and grad year. And the reason that we want to do that is, what if, for example, the only thing we wanted to change was the first name? We should have the current values in there for last name, email, and grad year. We should have all of those in there. All right. And we should have all of those in there. We should have them all in there because we don't know what the student's going to want to change. In fact, maybe you brought up the wrong student and you don't want to change anything. All right. So right now in here, in our edit mode, this is the only one we put in. But, I'm going to shoot for the moon here and I'm going to grab all of them. So there's the first one. Underneath that, I'm going to put in the next one, which will be last name, and set last name. All right. Underneath that, we'll put in the next one, which will be email, and set email. And let's do a little bit of validation. We'll change the type in here to email. Okay. And then finally, let's do the last one. And this will be grad year, and set grad year. All right. So what should be happening here, hopefully what will happen after I get those two errors fixed, all right, is when you come in and you go into edit mode. And how do you go into edit mode? you click the edit button for that student. So what should happen then is once you go into edit mode, all right, for that student, what we're saying in here is we want to change everything that we have put in there, all the current existing information that's in there in the equivalent of labels, label, because edit mode, you can't edit them. But if we are in edit mode, we do want to be able to edit them. All right. All right. Couple more things we're going to do here. Next, I'm going to go back to app.js. All right. And right now we've got to save students. We've got to search students. We've got an add student. We've got to remove student. All right. So we got a bunch of stuff in here already, a bunch of our different CRUD operations, but I'm going to add another one in here. All right. And I'm going to put in const update student. We have to pass in the student that we want to update. So updated student. All right. And what do we want to do? Well, one thing we could do, just so you see this, all right. Now, that won't do anything except if we click our console button when we run the app, it should show a table. And for the updated student, it should show his or her first name, last name, email address, and grad year. All right. So let's see. All right. And there's no function. All right. I'm looking at my notes, which unfortunately right now don't make a lot of sense. So what I'm going to do, it's a little bit early, but I'm going to give you 15 minutes right now. We're going to come back at 9:10 and hopefully finish this up. All right, I'll see you then. All right. Um, what happens when I go through this is I watch Mr. Gudmister's presentations, take notes, basically try it myself, but I only do it to a certain point because I want to do it in front of you. So if I screw up, you can see my screw ups. All right. And right now, there are several of them. All right. I'm in here and I'm trying to fix this, and it's giving me two errors. And if I bring this up, these are the errors that it's giving me. All right. It's telling me, first of all, that it doesn't like this, even though I've moved this. And it says there's an unexpected token here in line 184. It doesn't like this parenthesis that's right there. All right. So let's see. It's from the map. Technically, but that shouldn't be there. It should be right here where it is. Now let's see if I put that in there. It's still not resolving my errors. Oh, it said, no, I'm down to one error. Okay. So it's in my app.js. And it doesn't like everything I'm doing, giving me errors there. But when I run it, it's telling me that there is an error right there. Now, I don't know what the problem is. I very quickly during the break tried to bring up Mr. Gudmison's presentation and quickly go through it to see if I could figure out where the heck the problem was. And I couldn't. So what I'm going to have to do is this. Even though I wanted today to be the last day, and believe me, I did. All right, I'm going to have to make tomorrow the last day. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this presentation because I'm not giving you something like this. All right, I'm not going to give you this while it's broken. But what we should be able to do today is to take a look at this, which is taking React app and loading it to GitHub pages, and this, which is taking a React app and putting it to Netlify. All right, so I'm going to go through these right now, and I'm going to try to read Mr. Nation and see where I screwed up. Come back tomorrow, hopefully in 1 hour, and finish this up. But let's look at this. All right, we might as well do the hard one first. So this assumes that you've got something that's called that you've got React GitHub pages. All right. Now, don't worry if we don't or whatever. Let's just follow the steps. All right. I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can all read. All right. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create a React app. We already have one, and deploy it to GitHub pages. To create the React app, we'll use Create React App, which is what we've been using. To deploy it, we'll use GH Pages, which we've talked about before. It's a node package manager or NPM package you can use to deploy things to GitHub pages. Okay, so number one says you have to make sure that node and NPM are installed. This is what I'm going to do. All right, whoops. I'm going to go, and this is the project we're working on. I'm going to do a save, and I'm going to quit it right now. Next, I'm going to bring up the first project we did in here, which was that BMI app. This is the one I'm going to attempt to deploy to GitHub pages. So I'm going to bring this one up. There it is in code. This is the first one that we did together as a class. Everything in here is an app.js. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and bring up a terminal. Why? Well, let's check a few things. I know I've got these already, but what we're told to do in here, I'm going to follow their steps. All right. And what we're told is to make sure we've got node installed and npm installed. All right. So I can say this node -v. And it says I'm using version 20.10.0, which I believe is the latest and greatest version of Node. I can say npm -v, and it shows me that's 10.2.3. That is the Node Package Manager version that comes with Node 20.10.0. All right, so those are fine. We'll make sure Git is installed. Well, you know Git is installed. We've already used Git before. All right, we can check it. So I can say Git -v, and there's our GitHub, or Git, I should say. All right, sign on to your GitHub account, create a repository, a new repository. All right, now for this one, we don't have Git in there. This is one, I put it under a different name, I believe, but there's no Git in here. All right, so we're going to make one. So I'm going to come in, and you've seen me do this countless times. Okay. Right. So let's see if it's out there. And there it is. Okay. All right. Visit the create new repository name. We did all this stuff. Create a React app. We've done that. All right. Enter the newly created folder. Install the GitHub Pages npm module. So we're up to right here. So it's npm. I can do I or install. It doesn't matter. GH pages. Now, if you look here, it says --save -dev. What that means is we're putting that in there as a dependency for our program, but it's not a program dependency. It's what's called a development dependency. All right, so I'll put it in exactly the way they show it here. Minus, minus, save, minus dev, and hit enter. I was going to say it should spin, show me a few things, and I should then get my prompt back again. Okay. All right. At this point, GitHub Pages is installed on the computer, and the React Apps dependence on it is in the package.json file. We can look in package.json here, and we can see if GH Pages has been added. There it is. So that was just added as a developer dependency. All right. You'll notice that's really the only dependency that's in there. This was the first program we made, and it doesn't have much stuff in it. All right. Add a homepage property in this format. So I'm going to grab this. Hopefully there won't be any mistakes in it. And I'm going to come back into that same file that I just had open. This one. All right. There's the beginning and there's the end. And I'm going to try to add it in here. Now, don't worry. I don't think I need that plus sign there either. All right, so what am I trying to do here? All right, there's the name. I'm saying the name is my app. I'll have to change that. There's the version. There will be the home page. All right, and I do think I will have to probably put this into curly braces like that with a comma. There we go. Doesn't like it. Okie doke. All right, we'll do it like that then. All right, the name of the app, I believe that's what we should have in here, is the name of the app. And the name of the app is React BMI app. The version, that's fine. We don't have to change anything. The home page, I'm trusting that this is correct, what they have in here. If this doesn't work, you'll see it right when I, right when I do. So, all right, open. So, open package.json, add a home page. We did that. Open it again. Why? I don't know. Add a redeploy property and a deploy in here. Again, we don't need those. Need those plus signs that are there. All right, get rid of that. Get rid of that. So what have we done here? I followed the instructions. I added this. All right. And now what I have to do is I have to tell it when we run this, do a build, but then do a build for GitHub Pages. All right. And we still have a start, which is our npm start. And we have this, which is an npm run build. So I'm building this package.json file from scratch, and I'm doing it based off of what we're told to do in here. This is another reason why in just a couple minutes, when I show you how to do this same thing in Netlify, you might very well say, geez, I'm doing it in Netlify. It's a lot easier, because it is. All right, add a remote to the local GitHub repository. We've already done that. Push the React app to the GitHub repository. All right, we're going to try to do an npm run deploy, and I'll see if that works or if I get an error message. So let me do a file save and close this file. All right, and let me come in and do a terminal, new terminal. All right, and in here, they just told us to do an npm run deploy. Again, this could break at any time. I don't know. It says React scripts is not recognized. All right, I'm going to try first an npm I, which means install anything you need. All right, and then I'm going to try doing this again. No, doesn't like that. It says we don't have a React scripts. So let's look. We do. So let's say npm I React scripts. This is another reason we probably should have used Vite, V-I-T-E, instead of create React app. You notice all this stuff in here that's deprecated. All right, clear? I think that's gonna matter. Not find a required file, index.html. All right. Well, we don't have a public folder in here. We've got a source folder. All right, but we don't have a public folder in here. So let's add a new folder that we'll call public. And inside of here, let's add a new file, index.html. That's a standard HTML file. So I should be able to pull it from a different program. Not giving me a paste option. So we'll do it like this. Lovely. Sure. Resolve React DOM client. Good gravy. In React BMI app source, it says there's no DOM client in here. Probably should have grabbed a different one of these to go and put in as opposed to the one I'm putting in. Why don't we try that? Sorry if I sound flaky here. I actually know everything I'm doing, but I've never built one of these like this from scratch before. So let's stop this. And let's try just building part one of this project and see if that works. All right, so I've got the project. What I've been doing is I've been saving it as we've been going along. So I'm going to bring up just part one. All right, I'll open that with code. Notice I've already got the package JSON and probably most everything I need in here. So what don't I have? Well, I'm going to have to come in here and do our npm I GitHub pages. And it was minus save minus dev. So the project will now have GitHub pages in it. All right, that's the first thing. Should have pretty much everything else that we need, except I don't have a GitHub repo out there with this name. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to remove all of the blank spaces in here. Right, so now they're removed. Yeah. So, no. No. Copy. Says I've got to get in here already. I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. Right. That got me back. Let me close some of this stuff. All right. That got me back basically to right where I had been previously. All right. So they should be here now. Part one, it is there. All right, and now I've got to find the article on how to put this on React. All right, I already showed you the node version, the NPM version. You know, we have Git, we created. I just grabbed part one of the project. We had already created the React app. I installed GitHub Pages. So we're down to here. Now, I shouldn't have to do this, but I will have to add this. Now, let me explain. I'm going to bring up my package.json. It should already have a name and a version in it, but I don't think it has a home page. Okay, so we're going to look right now and see if that's true or not. Great. All right, move this over. This down. And let's find package.json. All right, there's the name. There's the version. There's the private. What I don't have in here is that home page. Okay, so I've added that. Next, it says under scripts, we should add these two things. There's our scripts. Where are our scripts? There they are. So I'm going to add two more scripts into here. Now it's giving me an error because I've got that plus sign over here, which I don't need. So we've got pre-deploy and deploy. Okay, that should be all good. At a remote, we've already done that. So we should be able to do this now. npm run deploy. See if this works. Now, what it's doing in here is it is building. It says GH pages is not recognized. We just added it. It should be in here. There it is. Okay. It's making this build folder in here for us. And that's where it's doing all of its magic, and it's creating whatever internal, external, etc. files that it needs. Now that worked. Okay. Says that it worked at least. All right. Navigate to GitHub pages. So out on GitHub. All right. If we go down, I think it was in settings, but I could be wrong. No, it's not. I don't remember how to get to GitHub pages. So let me go back. Good with it. I read this first. I'm sorry. There's settings. GitHub pages. Alrighty. In your web browser, navigate to the GitHub repository. Okay. Above the code browser, click on the tab labeled Settings. In the sidebar, in the Code and Automation, click on Pages. On Pages. Code and Automation, and there is no pages. There it is. Okay. Configure the build and deployment settings like this. Source, deploy from a branch, GH pages, and root. Branch GH pages, folder root. Branch. That's not going to work. Root is fine here. I'm going to leave it at master and see if it takes that. Click on the save button. Lovely. Learn more about configuring. It's not. Supposed to be deployed from a branch. It's supposed to be master. It's supposed to be root, but it's not letting me save. Well, let's see if we can deploy this thing and deploy it on Netlify. All right, this is the one that I chose. It's from blog.logrocket. And I'm going to do the first one, which was the easy one. We've created a React app. We've done all that. We've created the build directory. It already did an npm run build. So let's get into Netlify and see if we can bring it up. According to this, it's supposed to have filled in everything I need for me. And we're going to see right now if indeed that's true. npm run build, etc. Deploy. All right, it says it's out here. I don't like that name, so I'm going to go to site configuration, change site name, and we're going to just call this AWD1000 React student app. And it'll have this name then if this works. Right, it says it's there. Isn't that nice? It'd be there. Looks like you followed a broken link or entered a URL that doesn't exist on Netlify. Well, it wasn't being built. So I'm going to have to come back tomorrow and rebuild it. If for some reason we can't get it to build, I won't require that you build it. Then you will just take this and put it out there as a GitHub repo. I don't want to do that. So tomorrow morning, we're going to do two things. I'm going to go back right now and rewatch Mr. Gudmister's number 5 video and fix the thing with the edit. Then I'm going to attempt to take a React app, anyone, it doesn't matter, and put it out using both GitHub pages and Netlify. All right, and we'll do that tomorrow. Apologize for all the problems, but you know what it says saying, whatever doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:05. Thanks.